Welcome to the Thoroughly Wrong Project with Lalo and Bob. We appreciate you spending some time with us today. Let's jump right into that weekly dose of things you can disagree with. Take it away, guys.
All right, man. Good morning and welcome to the Thoroughly Wrong Project. Good morning, Lalo. How are you doing?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good.
All right. All right. I'm doing
Can't
real
complain.
well myself. I woke up this morning I got my that Apple Pay cash back thing. Yeah, got 84 cents this morning, dude. Feeling good about that.
I get like 30 cents, 6 cents here and there.
Well, see, that's because I'm the 1%. See, that's I get back more.
Must be nice.
How's tricks, dude? You doing okay?
Yeah, very
Cool.
good.
I'm doing better. I don't sound like I swallowed sandpaper last night.
I kind of like that version though. It's very like mellow and subdued, you know.
Yeah, like it was a Luther Vandross kind of thing. It was my Luther Vandross period.
No, but that's good that you're feeling better.
Yeah, it took a couple weeks to get over that one, and you know what? That was my first uh, illness in 56 years. I mean, when I was 2, my appendix burst, but I've never had pneumonia or any serious, been put in the hospital for any serious illness other than like kidney stones. But the only thing that I've ever had to get over is like being maimed in that car accident. But I've never been sick, and it's a whole different kind of ball game, dude. I've never experienced that. It was
Like
it was
when you
odd.
say sick, do you mean like really really sick, or like you've never even gotten like a cold?
Well, no, I've gotten colds, but I missed a day of work once in a
Oh,
while,
okay.
once every 10 years, but I don't really get sick. Um, I guess my immune system's pretty good, but this one was like it was like a descent down into hell. I can't even fucking describe it. It's like it was this descent down into total weakness and just laying there looking at the fucking ceiling, wondering if I was gonna die. I wasn't, I couldn't breathe. It was real. I was really fucked up there for a while. But like when I got hurt, it seemed to be there's a reason for this because I got hit by a car. But this just seems like you just start feeling shitty for no reason, and then you feel really shitty, and then you want to die, and then you go to the doctor, and they pump you full of drugs, and you get better. It's a whole new ball game for me.
Well, hopefully you won't have to deal with that for a long time again.
I hope not, dude. I hope not. But I guess as you get older, I guess your immune system weakens. I'm supposed to go get my flu shot, my COVID booster, um, pneumococcal pneumonia because I'm above 55, and shingles.
Damn.
Yeah, I was thinking about getting them all at once to see just what would happen. Maybe,
Just put them all in one syringe. Just might as well.
I wonder if they'd let me do that. Just put them on one syringe. She's like, no, fuck no, you'll die. I don't think I can get them all at once, but I'm gonna ask. I'd rather just feel shitty for 3 or 4 days. And but you know what, dude? I think that they can because when I was in the Marine Corps, you had to get your overseas shots and your flu shot and all kinds of fucking shots. There was like 20, and they just lined us up, and we walked down the row, and they shot them in both arms until you got to the end, and there was blood running off your fingertips. And I guess you're supposed to be a fucking man or something, but you feel pretty bad for about 3 or 4 days. Like, just it was awful. And then at the end of you have to bend over, and they give you that penicillin shot in your ass. And if you've ever had that, damn, that feels like they're injecting hot lead into you, and then you have this little lump in your ass for a week. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I
I don't
know.
think
It's
I've experienced any of that stuff, but I've gotten a shot in my arm, and like my thigh.
ever had one in your
But
ass?
No.
Yeah, that's where they put penicillin. It's not pleasant.
Hopefully, I could wait on that until I'm older. I'm not in a rush to experience that. So
Why not, man? Come on, it's a story now. Back then, I thought I was going to die, and boot camp would never end, and maybe I had died and woken up in hell, and I wasn't sure yet. It's military's a whole different thing. I don't even talk about it anymore. I wish I wish it would never happen. I'm glad I did it, and people were like, "Hey, thank you for your service." I'm like, "Yeah, you're welcome." But yeah, it wasn't like any pleasant thing that I wanted to fucking do at the time. It was just felt like I had to, I guess.
did you only do one, like one round, or I
Yeah,
don't know what it's called, one
yeah,
tour,
one.
the 4 year
Hmm.
thing?
Yeah, yeah, that was enough. I was for most of it, I was reserve. I just got called up for a while, and then yeah, it's a long story. Who gives a fuck anymore? Thank you for my service.
Do you wear like the hat to make sure everybody knows, or like how are
No,
they
I
supposed to
do
know?
not. I do not. I had one hat that said United States Marine Corps, and my uncle saw it. Uh, I sent my uncle a picture of it because my uncle Larry is like, he's one of those guys, once a Marine, always a Marine. He's
Hmm.
that guy. And I respect those guys. I really do. But I don't, I look at it like a lot of people are in the service, and I can say this because I was, but a lot of people identify with that for the rest of their lives. And I don't quite understand that how, but I guess he was in some really traumatic events in his life and he can't get away from it. So maybe it's a psychological thing. I don't know what the hell it is, but I do see a lot of guys with the Marine Corps tattoo and the Army tattoos and wearing the hats and wearing the shirts. And, it's like that. You're fucking 60 years old, man. Get over it. It's, but it's cool. I'm glad we have those guys, right? Because,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm glad we have people that want to join the military. It's a necessary thing in a violent world.
yeah. I have these my friends. They kind of like tease me and stuff because I'm all like communist and shit, you know.
Right?
So they just automatically think I'm like extremist in like every way, which I mean, kind
You
of,
kind
but
of are.
anyways, on Veterans Day, this past one that just happened, they're like, "Hey Lalo, what are you gonna um, like? Are you gonna do anything for Veterans Day?" But like in a condescending way, you know.
Yeah.
And I forgot what I replied, but they were like, they defended your freedom to, because we have a friend that's he was in the Marines. He just got out like probably like a year or two ago. And they were like, Matt fought for your freedom to be a communist, like a commie pig or something like that. And I was like, damn, that's crazy. What was my freedom doing in Iraq? Silly freedom. Come back over
Hey,
here.
George Bush said it. If we don't fight him there, we'll be fighting him here.
I highly doubt that. I highly doubt Al Qaeda's gonna. I mean, I was gonna say I highly doubt Al Qaeda's gonna like cross like the entire ocean to come over here. But then 9/11 happened.
Right.
Um, but I don't think that's like a that was like in a that was like a specific attack, you know. It wasn't like a battle, you know. Like they're not
Right.
gonna
It was a
fly their
skirmish. It was a
F
skirmish. They came over
16s over
here.
here.
Yeah, they're not going to do that. They might. The Chinese will, for damn sure. But
I
you
think
know
we're
what?
very spoiled in that regard. Being surrounded by like the biggest oceans in the world.
Yeah.
Like when we go to war, we go to war, you know. For the most part, war doesn't come to us. And I think a lot of people like don't really think about it or like take that for granted. Because
Right.
if you go to Europe, like fucking, there's been hella wars in Europe, and there's been like like monuments and like cathedrals and just a bunch of like historical places and items that have just been like destroyed or like
Yeah.
lost to war. And it's like, I mean, we had like the Revolutionary War here, but and then like a few other like skirmishes here, like in the 1800s or like uh in the 1700s, Civil War, stuff like that. But like when we think about it like as modern warfare, it's not really something that happens here, like, on the mainland,
Well,
as
in
they call it.
245 years that we've been a country, there's been no bombs dropped on us.
Right.
That's
Nobody's gonna
that's
like,
fucking saying something, man. That really is
nobody's
saying
gonna like
something.
drop like a payload on like fucking downtown LA,
No,
At
that's
least not like in the like
well,
foreseeable future.
but when you're talking about France and England and Poland, Germany, Italy, all those countries are right next to each other. So when Germany gets pissed off and they invade Poland, it's right there, and Canada, they're not going to invade us. Excuse me, eh? We're going to take this building now, eh? Sorry. And certainly the Mexicans are not going to cross the border they're crossing the border, but they're not, flying planes over to drop bombs on us. So I think we're
Yeah.
strategically located not only between oceans, but between two countries that are far superior in firepower to them. There's no way, I'm not going to break into a redneck's house with a knife. It's not going to
Yeah.
happen because I'm going to get shot. So
And I
yeah,
mean the need for warfare, or for war, like as it like when I think of war, I think of like World War II,
yeah,
Um, but I think the need for like that type of war has kind of dissipated just because like the one of the main reasons for countries to go to war at each other was like the resources, but now
yeah,
instead of doing that, countries just like trade. It's a very like globalized world. Like
yeah.
everybody's like interconnected. So uh, we're not gonna like invade China to have like their mass production like factories and all that stuff. Their labor force.
Or their
We're just
land,
gonna
or
trade with them.
we got enough. But the Chinese are developing all kinds of, what was it, supersonic weapons, you
Yeah.
know, to for first strike capabilities again, and ramping up their nuclear arsenals. And it's like, here we go again, another fucking Cold War. But I don't.
Only like 10 times worse because there's
Yeah,
a lot more
exactly.
countries and there's a lot more warheads.
Yeah. Well, how many warheads are there? Like enough to destroy the country, the world
Enough
10
to destroy
times
the world.
over?
Like, yeah.
It's
I
fucking
know there's been
stupid.
like a big diminish. Like, we used to have a lot more
Hmm.
and they got rid of them, but I
Yeah,
mean,
of
they're
the
still.
SALT treaties in the 80s, strategic arms limitation treaties, which we agreed to destroy so many, and the Soviets agreed to do away with theirs. But now you've got China and North Korea, and you know, and you could just sit here and name countries with the nuclear capabilities now. So there has to be some sort of world treaty, and that's not going to happen. No,
Yeah.
I get. Well, maybe. Fuck, who knows? Joe Biden can do it if he. What a doddering old man he is. Oh my God. Oh well.
Every time there's like a new video of him like stumbling over his words,
Yeah.
I'm just like shaking my head. But I'm like, it's better than the other guy.
Well, what's her name? Camilla Parker Bowles. Did you hear about that one? She
No.
can't stop talking about how he farted in front of her really loudly, and comedians all over are like, man, in the 21st century, why don't we have a fucking video of that? But apparently she can't stop talking about how he farted in front of her. It's like we either have a complete buffoon or a doddering old man. It's like I don't know, dude. We need some like calm, cool, collected, intellectual, educated president. Where's that guy or girl or trans or
I mean, we had that
whatever?
with Obama. He was
Did
very
we?
I think he was very high on like the cool charts.
Yeah, but he was still doing the same shit.
Well, you didn't say you wanted someone to change it up. You just said they want to
Yeah,
you wanted to be
no,
cool and educated.
no. I, it was an insinuation. It with intelligent and calm and cool and collected and a world leader instead of just an American leader. That's the guy I'm looking for. Or like I said, girl, trans, whatever. I don't give a fuck. It doesn't matter to me. Just somebody with a mind for progress.
Uh, I think a lot of them, or actually, I don't know about a lot of them, but I think like it's easier said than done when it comes to like presidency, just because like I said before, the president doesn't have all that much like power when it comes to like legislation and actual like change, especially in like the 4 maybe 8 years they have.
Right.
Um, because I mean, for the most part, during that time, Congress is either like split or like completely against them. When it comes to like a party.
Right, and even at the times in American history, I read even at the times when the Congress, Senate, and President are all the same party, still nothing really gets done. They don't change much.
Yeah, I think just it's because it's just hard to like to have like that super majority and like everything.
Right.
Um, and then I also think they're like most of them are like tenured like politicians. So they work the system and they try to work the game to like stay in that position for as long as possible. Like most politicians that are in Congress right now, they're gonna out term like Joe Biden.
Right.
Most of them have been there for like 3 or 4 presidencies.
Yeah.
Um, so like that's their game.
That just reminded me, it's when you said that, it reminded me of Strom Thurmond up there, fucking 150 years old and having people push buttons for him because he was too senile to even look.
Yeah, so it's like one of those things where they don't want to like do too much and risk like losing their position.
Right.
Because what if something like goes wrong and they're like, oh look, they voted for this, you should vote them out. So they kind of like tread water lightly, and I don't know. It's just like a chess game to them.
Well,
When
yeah,
like
it
that
is.
shouldn't be a game at all. It's your job.
Well, if we had term limits on Congress and Senate, then it wouldn't be a chess game anymore. But here's the thing, dude. Here's the thing. I hear that all the time from all kinds of people, from both sides, both parties, men, women, everybody says the same thing about the presidency. The presidency is not that powerful, and they can't change that much in the 4 or 8 years. Then explain to me Donald Trump, who changed every fucking thing, appointed judges that are just mind-blowingly partisan. Um, in 4 years, he changed the American landscape to almost alien. So the guy does have a lot of power in certain aspects, maybe not legislative, but as far as attitudes and appointing judges, does a lot to the American culture. So why can't we have Obama on crack? That's what I'm saying. To appoint fair judges and to change the American policy or change the American mindset to a more positive aspect. They have a lot of power in that.
Yeah, I just think it's very hard to um like make those ideas just like popular. Because I mean, like you said, Donald Trump changed like the political landscape of how we
Yeah.
like see politics. um but I think all like all he was doing was like, oh, America first, and like uh, I don't know, just very like old fashioned, like traditional ideas,
1950s politics,
Yeah.
Red
But
Scares, things like that.
I think to do the opposite and make it, something popular is a lot harder just because um like we're not used to that.
Right.
Like it's if someone was to go up there and like champion and like be as passionate about like civil rights or something as much as Donald Trump was about anything he talked about, um I
They
don't
usually
like
shoot him. Yeah.
I feel like it wouldn't come off the same.
Well, do you
Because
think we
people
want to
look,
be negative? Is that what you think?
I don't think it's about negativity. I think it's about like self-interest. People are like, America first, and
Right.
everybody listening to him is like, oh shit, well, I live in America. And it's like all about. He was very big on like, oh, like the unemployment rate was like at an all-time low with me, and people are like, oh, I like making money. I want to make more money
Right.
because I mean that's all we're about right now is just making money. So anything
But
that makes them money and puts them, ahead of anybody else, that's like American Ideals 101, like money and power. So it's kind of hard to like stray from that. If someone was like to champion and like be super like hyped up about like universal health care, people are gonna be like, I mean, yeah, there's gonna be people that are like, hell yeah, like let's do that shit.
right.
But I don't think the like that sentiment and like that passion that people showed for like Donald Trump would be there, if that makes sense. I just
Well,
don't think we're there yet.
I,
And they're like, hey,
what if
let's
you looked at it
democratize the
differently though?
workplace.
Well, okay, but why can't we say, okay, everybody wants to make money and let's make money right here in the United States? NAFTA was a great idea. Done right, it would have been a game changer. So if we start thinking of making money here versus making money in the world, let's bring in more population, more money. I don't see why we can't do that and make the world a little better place. And I heard an argument the other day against against socialism, uh, that featured Elon Musk as the
Mhm.
topic of the argument. Now I know what he is. I know what he is, but they had a good point. It's like you give Elon Musk billions of dollars and he wants to make all the cars electric and change the grid and go to Mars, and he has all these great fucking ideas, dude. He really does. I mean, to make electric trucks, when you think about the physics of pulling 80,000 pounds with an electric motor, that's mind blowing. So he has all these great ideas. Like, don't you think somebody like Elon Musk, who's absolute fucking genius when it comes to that shit, and maybe not just him, but he has a good, like Steve Jobs, of pulling people in to do the things that his ideas. He doesn't know how to build an electric truck, but he can find these fucking people because he has the money. So money does a good thing in that sense. But how do we make sure it's the Elon Musks of the world they're in charge of it instead of the Donald Trumps? That's the question.
Well, I mean, I don't think those ideas are like beholden to have somebody like Elon Musk. Like you don't
Right.
need an Elon Musk to come up with those ideas. Um, or like those, like challenges or goals like that he has. I don't think they're very like oh shit, like who would have thought of that? Like
Right.
we would have never thought of that if it wasn't for him. I
Well, it's not
mean,
like we never
space
would have,
space exploration
but he
and
did. I don't see anybody else wants to go to Mars. I don't, he gathered all the people with the like minds because he had the money.
yeah, but I mean, like you could like the whole like idea of like going to Mars, like it's great and all, but is that really like what we need right now? Like should that be our main focus? Like I get it, like it's great, like human advancement and like technological advancement. Like it's great. I'm all for it, you know.
Right.
Um, but at the same time, like he's kind of using that to like try to back try to back himself. Like, oh, you guys want me to pay all these fucking taxes? Like I'm trying to take us to Mars. Like what the fuck does that have to do with the other thing, you know?
Well, let's
Like
say
what like
running.
why does that matter? Like you could do both. You could pay your taxes and, you know, go to Mars or go wherever the
Well,
hell you want.
he is doing both. He's doing more than just going to Mars. He's trying to upgrade the grid, which is something that we fucking need
Right, but
desperately.
all
He's
those things aren't like they're not gonna be, oh shit, I paid my taxes. I can't do those things anymore. Like
right,
that's not how it works. You know, I can't go to
right.
the IRS and be like, hey, I'm trying to build a pool in my backyard, but you're kind of stopping me. Like they're I don't care, you know? Like too bad.
Sorry. Well, can you see my argument though?
I see it. I just don't see it as a valid like reason
Well,
or argument, I guess, when it comes
let's
to
take
like
the taxes thing out of it. Let's take that out just for a second and just look at what the man is doing. Yeah, he wants to go to Mars, and that's maybe unimportant, and he wants to go to the moon, and maybe that's unimportant. But just those two things, I want to get us off fossil fuels, and I want to upgrade the grid. Just those two things are not a pool in the backyard, dude. That's that's survival shit. That's low level cultural survival stuff. Because if we don't upgrade the grid, we're not going anywhere. We're not gonna we're not gonna make any new things to plug into the old grid because we're asking of the grid now is it's over it's overrun with it. So just those two things. I'll let the guy not pay taxes if he could do those two things. Don't you think that's fair?
I
That's
don't
one
think he
guy,
can like
but that's one
on
guy.
his own.
Well, he's Bill Gates couldn't have built Microsoft on his own. Steve Jobs couldn't have made an iPhone on his own. So all I'm saying is, if you got a genius like this fucking guy, and you can make sure he's not an evil genius, but he's like, yeah, I want to upgrade the grid. I want to go to Mars. I want to go to the moon, and I want to go do away with fossil fuels. Those four things right there, I would say, okay, you're not paying your taxes, but you're giving us things that'll help us survive in the future. A digital grid that can't be brought down, give me that. And you don't have to pay taxes. I'll let you go.
But see, those are all things that we've been like wanting and been like saying we want to do for the longest time. Like the Green New Deal, that's literally what that is, you know? That's, you know, getting off our fossil fuel dependency, uh,
But that
you know,
money's going to be
improving
misspent,
our
and you know it
infrastructure.
is. You know that money's going to be misspent. It's not going to go towards the Green New Deal. It's going to go into small businesses who and the hands of people who are just trying to get the fucking money, and they're not necessarily concerned about the bridge. They're not necessarily concerned about the road.
I guess I'm just not a huge fan of like putting that much power like on one individual. Um, you know, like I'm all for it if he wants to like, because I mean, even like with Tesla, like Tesla would not exist if it wasn't for the government, you know?
Right.
So if it was something like that where it was more like a supportive like partnership, you know? Like, hey, I have this idea, this is what I'm trying to do, like this is my plan. And it's like a well like laid out, you know, actual plan. And then he said like I might need like some subsidies here or, you know, this and that. and then the government like, okay, we can help you out here, here, and here. Um, that might be something that I'm like more open to. But like this whole like, hey, let this one dude fix all our problems. I don't think that's like a very smart plan.
Well, that was
One, I
part of
don't
what I
think he
was
can
saying.
succeed.
He has to be monitored. I'm not saying let the motherfucker go, because sooner or later he's going to come up with, hey, I got this invention that accidentally destroyed us, like AI, which even Elon Musk is. I heard 3 or 4 days ago he gave a speech and he was like, AI is so close and you guys don't understand how close it is, but I'm frightened of it. So we
Yeah, the
need
moment that
we need to
happens is the
watch the
moment we
guy.
die.
Exactly. He's like, we turn on AI and it goes, hey, you're the problem. Okay. Fuck, wait a minute. So yeah, I see where you're going. And I have this idea that, if it takes money, then we're going to have to let these people with money fix it, because we don't have the money. I mean, every time the Green New Deal comes up, instead of 1.3 or 5 billion or trillion dollars going into the infrastructure, it's more like 1 trillion goes into somebody's bank account and 5 billion goes into the infrastructure. That's what's happening.
But I mean, also, he doesn't have the capability of like transforming like a whole country's like grid, you know?
Yeah.
Like he can have the idea and like the basic gist of it, but I think that's where like the government like has to take over and be like, okay, how do we implement this like nationwide, you know?
Yeah. But we
He's
have to
not
let
gonna.
him develop it in order to implement it. Somebody has to do something, man.
Yeah, but I mean, you could do all that and then like still pay your taxes. Like that's not. That's my big like. That's my point. Like that's not gonna stop you.
What? But what if he came up with the idea for the grid and the grid was implemented and it saved us trillions of dollars? What if
What about it? Like what?
in the
Like I'm sure
future
there's people that
we want
you
him
think
to
the
pay
guy
his
that
5 billion now? But in the future, if we don't make him pay the 5 billion now, in the future we're going to save trillions.
I don't think that 5 or whatever his tax rate would be. It's gonna like that's what I'm saying. Like I don't think it's gonna like stop him from like doing whatever he wants to do.
Right?
Like oh shit, I was only $5 billion away from changing the world, and that's what you guys taxed me. Like I don't think
I
that's
hear
how it
you.
works.
I hear you. I do. But not taxing the billionaires and the trillionaires or whatever's coming up is not, that seems to be what we're fucking focused on, when we should be focused on the waste of the money that we do pull in. What if we didn't waste the fucking money that we do pull in? Would that billionaire's taxes be a problem then? Not really. We just throw money at people. Let's look at it from a local standpoint. And I know you can't talk about it, but so we won't use names. So we got this homeless problem here in town, and we got this agency that gets a lot of fucking money, and it's not a government agency, it's a church. And they waste a lot of that money. Just waste it. Doing programs that just don't make any fucking sense, and sometimes they do good and sometimes they don't. Well, what if that money wasn't wasted? Would homelessness be less of a problem? Yes, it would. So we grant these people this money and then we don't monitor how they spend it. They waste the money. And on top of that, if they don't waste the money, we're not going to give it to them again next year. This fucking system doesn't make sense, of just this government waste. And then we're like, oh, we got to tax these billionaires. That'll solve the fucking problem. We got to tax these millionaires. That'll solve the problem. No, it won't. Because the more money you get, the more money you're going to fucking waste. Without government oversight by non-governmental agencies, this whole fucking system it's a waste of time. Don't you think?
Yeah, I agree. But I think those are like two separate like issues that shouldn't be like if you bring that up, like if you bring like, hey, these people should be taxed like higher.
Right.
And then like you said, you're like, oh well, what about all the like wasting that we're doing, Like we
Right.
didn't waste all this, it would be a lot better. But I mean that's just like a what is that called? Like a whataboutism. Like, oh, what about this? Yeah, but you're not addressing the issue that's at hand. Like those are two separate issues. Like taxing, at the tax rate should be taxed at, and then like government spending and allocation. Like to me, those are two different things, and we could work on them, at the same time. But
Okay.
I don't think it's fair to like, hey, like let's do this. You're like, oh well, what about this? Like, yeah, I'm not saying that's not happening. I'm just saying like, let's do this, you know?
Right. How about we make it personal to you, and you can actually see where your money's going. And someone comes to you and they say, "Hey, Lalo, I need $100 for your taxes," and you're like, "Cool," and they waste $87 of it, and $13 goes to do good, and you know that. You're absolutely positive. You saw the $87 get fucking wasted, and they come back to you the next time and they're like, "Lalo, I'm going to need $125 this time because I couldn't fix what I needed to fix." And you're like, "But you wasted $87. And they're like, "That doesn't make any difference." That's not a whataboutism. That's a direct correlation that you're seeing your money get wasted. And now they want more. And that doesn't make any sense. And when you're talking about people who are millionaires, I'm sure that goes into it a little bit. Most of it's just fucking greed. I get it. But
I don't think
nobody wants to see their money get flushed down the toilet and then turn around. Some poor son of a bitch turns around with his hand out and says, "Hey, I need more this time," because it all went down the toilet.
I don't think like millionaires and like super wealthy people really care all that much. Like they say it, like they say like, "Oh, what do you want to tax me for?" It's just like they just waste it.
Right.
But personally, I don't think they care all that much because they're not in a position where it affects them,
Right.
Like misspent tax dollars is not going to affect someone that's like super wealthy.
Yeah, you're right. A lot of them make money off misspent tax dollars.
Yeah, so it's like they
That's
use it
true.
like as a talking point and like, hey, what do you want to tax me for? You're just gonna waste it. But it's like they don't care. Like they're gonna still be rich. They're still gonna be, living their lifestyle. Not,
Yeah.
misspent tax dollars affects usually the like the people at the bottom.
Yeah, like me, like when I see it get wasted and then you want to tax me more, I'm like, fuck, wait a minute. I just
That
gave you,
pothole's still outside.
use the money that I gave you wisely and don't turn around and ask me for more. And if you use it wisely, I don't care. Give me a better school, give me a better road, give me a better bridge, give me better infrastructure, lower the gas prices, do all kinds of things with my money. But the more you take from me, the more I seem to be paying on the other side. There's a problem here. And that's
Right. So like
capitalism.
those like people like that, like I understand like the frustration. And I mean I would be frustrated too. But when like super rich people use that as a like an argument or like an excuse, and like I know they don't care, like because it doesn't affect them. They could care less. They could care less about some
I get
pothole
you.
on in East Bakersfield. They're never gonna even sniff East Bakersfield air.
Well, they might when they roll down their window to toss trash out as they go through town.
I don't even
Do
think they
that.
would roll through this town for any reason to begin with.
You got to get from LA to San Francisco. You got to drive
Yeah, you can just
sometimes.
take the 5. I mean, the 99. I heard the only reason the 99 exists is to like drive through all these like shitty towns in California.
Commerce, more or less.
Or you could take the 5 and just enjoy like the coast.
That is a
Like,
pretty drive, actually. That's a beautiful drive. and it doesn't go through Fresno. So,
That's always a plus.
well, that was great. I defended capitalism there for a minute. Now, don't for any reason think that I've changed my mind. All right. I just
No,
want to
I
make
don't.
the argument that we are wasting a lot of the tax dollars that we pull in. And I can see everyone's frustration at this point.
Yeah. I mean, I always hear like arguments, like for capitalism. But I think a lot of those arguments are just like the base root of them is, well, things have always been this way, you
Yeah.
know, like they can't, people can't fathom like any other system or way because it just, they, it's like impossible to them because they've never like even thought about it, you know?
Right. And they've been
Like, what do you mean?
misinformed their entire lives.
Right. Like to the, like for people, it's perfectly normal. Like, hey, you go to work, this is your boss, you fuck up, he's going to fire you. And
Yeah.
like, that's just, oh yeah, that's how it should work, you know? Because that's all they know. And that's all that they've ever known. And that's how it's been for, you know, hundreds of years here.
Right.
So I think like to implant and to like get people to see it a different way when they've never seen it that way or even thought of it that way. I think that's the like the most difficult part.
Well, it's scary to them too because it's scary to a lot of people. Socialism is, and communalism, all that kind of thing, because the only way they see it is the way it's been described to them, and it's like more or less, I got 100 people digging a ditch here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in a backhoe, and then I only need 2 people to dig this ditch, and things are going to be a lot easier, but it's only going to take 3 people, so 97 people are going to be out of work. That's the way they look at it. Like,
Yeah.
oh, wait a minute, we can't upgrade, we can't change the system in any way whatsoever, form or shape, because we're afraid of what might happen. What if I give that guy more money over there? He's just going to waste it. And we have all these ideas that have been implanted in us about our culture. And like you said, go to work, there's your boss. If you fuck up, you're fired. And it's the only part of our life that we're afraid of. I mean, we're afraid of dogs and spiders and shit like that, but the system that we work under is like, it's out of fear. And I guess that's why people react the way they react, because you back an animal into a corner and you keep poking it, it's going to attack you.
Yeah, it's just, like I said, it's very hard to, and also I think it goes against like human nature in a way because it's very, I think like humans, they're like wired to, like self-preservation and, got to make sure you're okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, I understand that and I get that. 'Cause, I mean, we're animals and like, survival is key. But we're far past that point where we need to worry about like, hey, is a fucking lion gonna kill me tonight, while I sleep?
Right.
We're to the point where, like you said, that ideal of like communalism and, a society and the betterment of society as a whole, not just you individually. That just goes against human nature because it's like, well, I got to worry about myself and just myself.
Do you think
And
that's human
and
nature,
my
or do you
own.
think that's what we've been convinced of?
Maybe a little bit of both, but I definitely think it's part of our like natural instincts, to like protect ourselves.
Right.
And I mean, it's like every animal's human natural instinct, like protect yourself.
But there's lots and lots of herd animals out there. Lots of them. Not many mammals are loners.
Right. And I mean, so are we. Like if we, like we're herd animals because I mean, by nature, we, came together and started building like villages and communities,
Right.
But within those like communities, there's like an element of if push comes to shove, like it's gonna be me, me over you.
Well,
And I
yeah.
think that's like completely natural. Um, but I think just like that, just the idea of like, hey, like I'm gonna take less so you can have the same as me, or like so you can have enough to live. Like that's not, people wouldn't take that in like so instinctively,
Right.
like they wouldn't decide that. Like I remember I saw this it was like one of those like moral like riddles, I guess, where it was like if someone gives, like, let's say it's you and me, right? Someone gives me $100 and they tell me you can give as much as you want to Robert. Um, and then, I have the $100 and I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna give Robert $20 out of these 100. And then they ask you, like, Robert, you could either take the $100, so you could say yes, or if you say no, then neither of you guys get money. And if you ask people that, most of them would say no because they feel like they're being cheated, like, oh, you're only going to give me 20 when you have 100.
Yeah.
And they would rather say no out of like, some sort of like vindictive feeling to like, I'll show you. Like now, neither of us are getting anything. And I'm pretty sure most people would make that choice,
I
especially if it's like,
if I'm
if
gonna
it's
make
like
20 bucks, I'm gonna say
50-50.
yeah. I'm gonna say yeah. If you're gonna give that guy 80 and he has to give me 20, and I'm gonna get 20, I'm gonna take it. I mean, but I guess I think differently because I came to this realization not too many years ago, and I've heard it backed up more than once now. But when is in your life, when are the best times that you've had? If you could save someone, or how do you feel when someone's life falls apart and you catch them? And we've all done that in our lives. Or giving somebody money when we have money. Like, it's like, they may be close to us. It's a friend, it's a family member, whatever. But we have these feelings of immense pleasure, immense joy in helping another human being. And I don't see why we can't realize that when we help another person, when we give $5 to a homeless person, and not everybody, dude, but for the most part, I'm going to say people give money to homeless people out of empathy. When we are empathetic, when we are caring, when we help another human being, the feeling that we get from that is immensely pleasurable. And I don't see why we can't tap into that in our capitalistic ways. You know, instead of saying, fuck you, I make 25 or $30 an hour and you make 12, I'm going to take 20 or 25 so you can make 17. It doesn't plug in for us because we've been manipulated by capitalism. The more money we make, the better off we are. And that's sad because, like I said, as human beings, our empathy makes us feel good, but we can't tap into it for some odd fucking reason.
Yeah, I think like the scale that we would need to, like you said, tap into it is just so much like bigger than, you know, hey, I'm gonna give this dude like $5 or $1.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, I think one of the differences is like the example you just said, like, hey, instead of making like $30, I'm gonna make 25 so they can make, this much.
Yeah.
And I think the way a lot of people see it, the main difference is, when they're giving money to like a homeless person, they're giving it to them out
Yeah.
of their like own free will. And for some reason, people think like if we like change things up, like things are gonna be, I'm not gonna give them, they're gonna be taken from me, and people don't like that.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the biggest differences. Like people don't like things being taken from them.
They want to give it.
That they want to, yeah, pretty
That makes
much.
sense. That makes perfect sense then. I've never seen it, but I do now. I guess if I want to give it, that's empathetic. If you want to take it, that's a threat.
Yeah, like, hey, I want to donate to charity. Oh, that's great. Hey, the IRS is gonna tax you. Like, what the fuck? You
Yeah.
know?
I'm out of control now, I guess. Is
But
that's human nature to be in control of a situation.
to me, like, I don't even think it would have to go like that far. Like, people think like, hey, I'm gonna have to. If I'm making $30 an hour, I'm gonna have to take a pay cut. And it's like, for the most part, like, not really. Like, we're capable of paying people more. The difference, like, if done right, you wouldn't be making less money. It's like the people at the very, very top, or like the profit margins would just be like smaller.
Right.
And that's where that thing comes in of like valuing money over people, you know? Like, what matters more? Like what matters more to a company, you know, like shrinking uh their advertisement money by like 30%, or like paying their employees like a decent wage. And
Who's
for the
that?
most part, the companies are gonna pick the former, you know,
Right.
because I mean
Who's that CEO
they're all
that
about
took
making
70
money.
grand? Did you hear about him?
Um,
You know who
yeah,
I'm
I
talking
think it
about.
was like a small business, and he like, I don't think he took 70 grand. I think he lowered his like profit or whatever, his money, his earnings, to the point where all of his employees make a minimum of 70 grand.
Oh, see, that's fair. That's cool as hell.
So like his janitor was making like 70 grand. And
Yeah.
then everybody else was like, you know, they got paid like accordingly to that. Like they got, you know, their raises too, obviously. But I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
that like, for some people that's like double their annual income,
yeah,
especially someone like a janitor.
that came after he paid everybody a regular salary to get established. Because you can't do that. I don't think you could do that and break into any business. That's the nature of capitalism. It has to take advantage of people, and that's the sad part. And we've discussed off air that I'm trying to start a business here, and that's my, because of you, you fucking asshole. I'm trying to figure out how I can profit share from the very beginning. I want to do that. I don't want to make a lot of money. I want to give, I want to make sure that the community is being helped as well as I'm making money. I want to make sure that my employees are being taken care of as well as make money. But I want to
Yeah,
do this from the very, very beginning.
yeah, because I mean, essentially, what that is, it's like a worker co-op, you know,
Hmm.
um, and like I've read into them, and one of the most like important things that you need to make sure, like to usually like the successful worker co-ops, something that's very important is to find the right people, like,
Yeah,
because at the end of the day, they're gonna be like, they're not just gonna be employees, you know, they're gonna like help like run the business like top to
right,
bottom.
right,
So you're gonna want to find people that are like, hey, like this isn't just like your, hey, you know, come in for your fucking shift and then go home. Like if they want that, like if that's something people want, you know, that's great. You know, you can find like a regular job that does that. But if you want like to help this like take off and, you know, like really be successful, like we're gonna need like someone that's like driven and, you know, passionate about it. And
yeah.
you know, at the end of the day,
I
everybody
struggle with
like
finding those
enjoys the
people.
reward.
Those are hard to find. Um,
Mhm.
you
And
know what
again, I
the
think that
greatest. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, and then like that again, that like comes back to the whole like, we're so like us being so conditioned and like used to like, hey, I get a job, work, you know, my shift. I don't have to worry about anything apart from whatever my job duties are.
Right.
Like I don't have to worry about management. I don't have to worry about this. Um, and it's just like one of those things, like I said, we're conditioned because that's the way it's always been. And a lot of people use that as a argument against like worker co-ops or like
Wow.
democratized like workplaces. Like, you think your cashier is going to want to go in on like board meetings or like managerial meetings, like,
Right.
no, they just want to be a cashier and then go home. And they say that as like a deterrent, but that whenever the people say that, I always tell them like, that's because it's always been like that way. And people are, trained and conditioned to think and believe that way. But I truly believe if like given like the option and the choice, a lot of people would be more invested in their workplaces if they saw like the reward that they would get at the end.
Yeah. 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 You just shifted my thinking a little bit. That is the problem. But that is one of the problems. The other problem is the personal issue of relinquishing control of my idea and trusting other people to come on board with as much enthusiasm as you need them to come on board with. And then there you go. You have all these entrepreneurs out there, all these rich motherfuckers that say, hey, that's your idea. Don't, don't let go of it. Don't relinquish control. You're going to have to work 100 hours a week. They got all these issues where if you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to be special. You have to be, superhuman in your effort to launch your community or your company. And it is this idea that we have about entrepreneurs that they're the elite, but they're not. They're not. Everybody has fucking ideas about selling something or doing something or some service or some item. So what I have to do as an entrepreneur is, like you said, find the people that are hip to the idea of, hey, guess what? It's not a 40-hour week job. It's an all the time job until we get established, until the business begins to take care of itself. And even then, after that, you have to come and step in on Saturday and take care of an issue because it's your company too. You have to find those people, and then you have to find a way to get rid of them if they're not up to speed. And that's just the truth of the matter, Lalo. You can't, even in a co-op, you have to get rid of the dead weight. You have to.
Yeah. And I mean, sometimes I've even heard, and I mean, it kind of does make sense. I mean, I'm sure it depends like on business to business, but some people have argued that it's not always the best idea to like have that like from the get-go, like, hey, we're all gonna like make the decisions. Like, I'm sure there's studies, and like I've heard people talk about the fact that for like, especially for small businesses, it might be good to have like that one person, guiding the ship until it, like you said, gets on track. And
Right.
then from there, then you can start like, hey, now that it's like almost like a self-sustaining business, it's stable and everything. Now we can start to like do it this way. But it
Yeah,
might be
because
even
then you would
beneficial.
find the people who were working. You would find the
Yeah.
people who, yeah, I get it.
So I can see that, and I can get behind that when it comes to like small businesses, because I mean, it's hard to like run a business in general, especially a small business nowadays. And I know it's very like rocky and shaky in the beginning. So I can see how it's beneficial to have like, that one or two people, like I said, like kind of guiding the ship and making the decisions that are, in the best interest of the business until it takes
Yeah.
off and it, stables out.
All right. I can see that. But I'm going to try it, man. You know, this will be my fourth business, fifth, I don't know, fourth, I think, that I've done it.
Four
And
times the charm.
well, yeah, yeah, it's they and they know a lot. They say that, 3 out of 5 or 3 out of 4 small businesses fail from the beginning. So,
And I think that sector is very it's like even more difficult than a lot of other sectors.
well, yeah, especially when you're talking about a couple of my businesses were just about service. And service is a hell of a lot easier than production. And this one is going to be production. So that's a whole nother issue now. And I've never really produced anything. I mean, I built some computers for a business I had back in West Virginia. I built computers and worked on computers and I provided internet access. I was an ISP and all that shit. But I didn't really produce anything. I just ordered parts and built something. So I guess it's the same thing. I'm going to order parts and produce something here, but damn, I'm in a conundrum, dude. This is hard. Shit is hard. It's not, capitalism is not something you participate in it, but if you want to generate capital, that becomes a different ballgame.
Yeah, it's hard to be a socialist-minded person in a capitalistic world.
Yeah, but you know, it's don't you think it's what we need?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's what it's gonna take to like, you're gonna need people to have that idea or that like mindset in order
Hmm.
to change it in the first place, you know?
Yeah,
It's
see,
not
and
gonna
now
change on
in
its
our
own.
culture, everybody thinks socialists are fucking lazy. They just don't want to work and they just want money for not working. No, 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 no. That's not what we're talking about. We want to work. I want to generate capital for other people and for myself. I want a better life. But here's the thing about socialism. A capitalist says, I want a better life. A socialist says, I want to have a better life and those around me to have a better life. I'm not necessarily talking about I want to take care of the whole fucking world, but I'd like to take care of a group of people who have the same
Put in the
idea that
same
I
work.
have.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the difference between a true socialist and the way that socialism is portrayed. My dad is 80 in his 80s. He would just say a socialist and a communist are the same fucking thing and you're all just fucking lazy and want a handout. No, that's not even remotely true, but that's what is believed.
Yeah. Because I mean, if you want to talk about handouts, your boy Elon Musk took like 5 billion in government subsidies.
He sure did. He sure did. You want to talk about handouts? I took $600 last year.
I always tell people like, is it really a handout if it was our tax dollars?
Exactly. I don't think that anyone knows how the system truly works, but it's corrupt and it's not just our tax dollars. It's money that's being borrowed against the future constantly and the raising of the debt ceiling. And it's just this weird machine that we have built that has so many fucking moving parts that nobody can possibly know how the whole system works. It's not possible. I guess some people have
Yeah.
figured it out and they have billions of dollars on. I don't know how they did it. I have no idea. How the fuck do you amass billions of dollars? That's just crazy. Especially when people are making $30,000 a year, living on shitty cars and shitty jobs and eating shitty food and having a shitty life you know, and other people are out there like, this is my infinity pool. It's 150 feet deep and we have a whale in there. Sucks, man. We still didn't get to what I was wanting to talk to today. Talk
I was
about.
just thinking that too.
It's okay. We'll get to it later. I still have the notes here from last week when I wanted to talk about it. But I do want to give a shout out to a couple people, man. I found some podcasters here in town, and one of them's called The Trucker's Mind. if you want to find them, I think they're on SoundCloud and iHeartRadio.
And they're like local.
Yeah, they're
Like
right here in
people?
Bakersfield. There's two of them. One's the Trucker's Mind, and I thought, oh, great, now what? You know, we're going to listen to a bunch of fucking rednecks. I got on there, and it's actually, they're ethnically diverse, and they were talking, the one I listened to, they were talking about how one of the podcasters pulled up and got his food, and the lady said, the person in front of you paid for it. And they went off on this 15 minutes talk about giving back to the community. And it was really fucking actually beautiful, man. I was like, that's really cool, because he said before that had happened to him, he realized, he sat and realized that day he had helped somebody out. And then he went to get his dinner and somebody helped him out without being told. And he said, that's the kind of culture we need to live in. And so if you get time, listen to A Trucker's Mind. And if you're so inclined, there's another one called The Slut Chronicles, which is two, they sound like younger girls, but that's what they talk about. They talk about culture of being, you know, the culture of sex in our community and different ideas. They're really derogatory, and you're going to get fucking offended really badly if you're so be careful with that one, guys. But the Slut Chronicles, they're here in Bakersfield, and A Trucker's Mind, both of them. You should check them out. Everybody should.
I would love
them
to the Trucker's Mind one.
Yeah,
Because I know like that industry, like trucking, it's very like, first of all, it's huge. Like the amount of people like it employs.
oh yeah,
Like, there's a shit ton of truckers, like in the country, you know.
that was
But
the best and the worst job I ever had.
I also know, I think it's one of those like industries that's like, one, it's in a shortage right now. Like,
Right.
they can't find truckers to like save their lives, you know.
Yeah.
But another thing is, it's one of those industries that's predicted to be kind of taken over by like automation. At least one of
threat
the
is
first
there.
ones. Yeah. Just because like self-driving trucks, it's not, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's probably really hard to achieve, but when it comes to like those like long drives, like on highways and freeways, like there's like the amount of decisions that a like self-automated vehicle has to do on the freeway is a lot lower than, you know, like driving through town and stuff.
Right.
So that it makes it easier to develop a self-driving truck than like a self-driving car, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I think
So-
what they really want to do is they want to drive. They're talking about developing self-driving trucks for the, like you said, from San Diego to, you know, wherever across the 40, and then go up to, or across the 10 and across the 40 and across the 70 and across the 80. There's a lot less decisions to be made there, but there'd be hubs outside of cities where human drivers would, you know, these trucks
Like
would
take over.
drop and the human driver would pick up that trailer and deliver it into town. That would work. That would work. But the threat against trucking is, I think it's a misperceived threat. Like everything else is designed to scare the fuck out of us. Oh, technology, and it's scary, and it's not. So these guys, like I said, that was the best and the worst job I ever had. And the worst part of that job was navigating through towns. You
I
know,
can
going
imagine.
into downtown and delivering to a furniture store with fucking heavy traffic, and you're 65 feet long and 8 feet wide and 13 feet high and weigh 80,000 pounds. That's a chess game right there, man.
Sometimes I have a hard time driving the van at work. I can't imagine a big old truck with like 3
Yeah.
axles and shit.
Yeah. Not only are you 65 feet long, you bend in the middle. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a bad thing, but there's I talked about those, and if you want to get a list of podcasters, go to podbelly.com. That's where you and I are listed. I don't know if these other two are, but go to podbelly.com, listen to A Trucker's Mind, and listen to the Slut Chronicles if you're so. They talked about dick cheese, yesterday, and I was like,
Nice.
okay, that's fine. I mean, that's fine.
I remember there's a word for it too. There's another word for that. I can't
Is
think of it
there?
right now.
Oh God, I
Yeah, I
don't
mean
want
another
to
like slang word,
know.
but yeah.
Okay, yuck. So there you go. Expand your mind, everybody. Listen to the Trucker Chronicles and talk about empathy, and listen to the Slut
I think
Chronicles talk about
you
dick
gotta.
cheese.
I was gonna say you combined the two. You said Trucker Chronicles.
Oh, the
I was like,
trucker, a
that
trucker's
would be one.
mind, a trucker's mind, and the Slut Chronicles. There you go. All right, man.
It's
I'm gonna
very
go get something to eat.
like eye catching or like ear catching.
You're
Like
catching.
names.
Well,
Catch your
thoroughly wrong
attention.
project.
I
It's
mean,
cat.
I
It's
don't know how it holds up to the Slut Chronicles. That's gonna make me perk up a lot more.
you just showed your masculinity there, dude. Stop it.
That's very interesting.
Nice try. All right. I'm going to go get something to eat, man.
All right, sounds good.
All
I'm gonna hit
right.
up there's a Comic-Con in town today.
Oh, are you
Well, it was this
going?
whole weekend. Yeah, my girlfriend wants to go.
All right, cool.
So it was here. It was yesterday and today, but we had stuff to do yesterday, so we couldn't go.
Yeah,
We're gonna check it out today.
I read about it. There's a lot of, they're not B-list celebrities. They're more like E, F, maybe G-list celebrities, but they're there.
Yeah, I like
This
to
is,
go to like check out like the booths and all the stuff like people have and shit.
I've never
I
been to a
really could care
convention.
less for like and there's like some voice actor from like some obscure movie, you know?
And now, speaking over at this booth is the guy who shined Freddy Krueger's knives.
I mean, don't get me wrong, that's cool if you're like a fan, but I'm more interested in like I don't know, like memorabilia, I guess, that they have. To me,
All
that's
right.
like kind of cool stuff.
The only comic I ever got into was Fantastic Four, and I owned the 200th issue where Doctor Doom got his mask pulled off in a room full of 1,000 mirrors, and it drove him crazy. And that was the end of Doctor Doom until episode.
That's what it took to take him down.
Yeah, he saw his own reflection because Doctor Doom was apparently very scarred from a fire or
Yeah.
something. So he saw his face reflected 1,000 times, and he was like, I'm so ugly, and he went crazy, and they were like, yay, that's the end of Doctor Doom. And then episode or magazine 205, he
Came back.
came back, and
Shocker.
he was even more angry at that time. 'Cause all right, man. So this week I want you to, think about Elon Musk as not paying his taxes, deal with it a little bit because he's not going to do it.
I mean,
And,
I'm cool with like Elon, but I just don't like I don't hold him on such high of a pedestal as other people.
well, I hold him on a
Like,
higher pedestal than Jeff Bezos.
eh, to me, they're kind of like the same person in different bodies.
Well, if you want to talk
It's
about
like
Amazon, if you want to talk about
like
Amazon warehousing here, we should do that sometime because that's a terrible fucking place.
yeah. My brother works at Amazon, and
Is
he's
it
like, he's dying to like quit. He's like, tell me to quit, and I'll quit right now.
Exactly. Exactly. I just worked for a place like that. I don't remember what it was. Never mind.
Because
All
I'll
right,
tell my
dude.
brother like, hey, what are you doing this Saturday? He'll be like, oh, I'm working. He's like, why? Do you want me to quit? I'll quit. I was like, damn, bro, chill.
No, I don't want you to quit, bro. Only unless you want to. And the other thing I want you to do this week is listen, everybody, in the sound of my voice, it's not going to hurt you, but take in when you're in line at Starbucks or McDonald's or where the fuck you are, ask about the person behind you and ask how much it costs. And if it's between 15 and $20, take care of it. limit yourself. Don't say, oh my God, they ordered 15 drinks and it's $55. Say, well, better luck next time. But if it's between 10 to 20 bucks and you can afford it, by all means, take care of the person behind you. It does things to a person that you can't imagine unless it's happened to you. I've pulled up and got my drink for free, and it's such a good feeling that, and that person that did it for me, I don't know how they felt about it, but I know how I feel when I pay for the person behind me. So do that this week. Deal?
Deal.
All right. Everybody listening to just one time, make somebody else feel good. And everything we talked about today, I could be thoroughly fucking wrong, but it doesn't matter. We're qualified to talk, right?
First Amendment, baby.
First Amendment, baby. And we got to get to that Second Amendment thing. All right. Talk to you next week, dude.
Later, man.
Later.
You have now experienced the Thoroughly Wrong Project with your podcast hosts, Lalo and Bob. We can now be found on Pandora Radio, Apple Podcasts, Podium Podcast, or by searching The Thoroughly Wrong Project to locate our YouTube channel. You can contact us directly by email at thoroughly-wrong@gmail.com, or just leave a comment on any of our platforms. Until next time, thanks for spending your valuable time with us, and remember, always speak up and never be afraid to be thoroughly wrong.